So self-esteem, obviously, you're surrounded by this word self-esteem. What's your definition of self-esteem? What does that mean to you?
So I love to define self-esteem as the way you think and feel about yourself and your life, of course. And the reason I like to define it as the way we think and feel is because it gives us an element of control. You see, when we just define self-esteem as it's if you love yourself or not, and then you're kind of like, well, I don't love myself, so then there goes that. And it's like, well, no, not there goes that. It's the way of thinking. And so we can coach ourselves and we can reprogram ourselves into new types of thinking and new types of thought. We can also elevate our emotions. If anyone ever follows Joe Dispenza, talk about elevated emotions and setting intentions. And these are things we can take some control over. Didn't say it's always easy, didn't say it's a snap of a finger, but it is, in fact, possible.
Yeah.
And so self esteem is the way we think and feel about ourselves. And yes, I made it into a jingle and I make audiences sing it all the time. And it
Are
goes
you
like,
serious?
I certainly do. It's a jingle. I will yell out into the audience, what's self-esteem? And then after I teach them, they sing back the way I think and feel about myself.
Oh, I love it.
And it gets stuck. I had a client call me once and was like, my daughter won't stop singing this song. I'm like, what better song to sing? Let's go.
Yes.
So yeah,
Oh, I love that.
the way you think and feel about yourself for sure.
Good for you. So I know that you do, obviously from, the story that you just told that you're doing, you work with men and women. Um, as far as that goes, this platform is predominantly women. How would you kind of tell us to improve? What are the steps to improve our self-esteem?
I love that. So the first thing I think is when we have a shift in our awareness of what it is we're capable of and why it works and how it works, I think it helps us with the actual changes that we have to make or the actual steps that we have to take. Sometimes we'll hear things like, do affirmations, keep it
Yes.
in the mirror. And I'm not saying that's bad advice. Now, I think it's great advice, but the problem is, in my opinion, if you don't have a deeper fundamental reason of why you're doing affirmations, then it kind of becomes like, I am beautiful. I love myself. Like, that's amazing. Oh gosh, what am I doing? Right? And you're like, don't know that this works. And it just feels like pain.
Yeah.
So, what I really want people to understand is number one, the concept of self esteem in this case for us, for women, is be a best friend to yourself. You know how we are as friends when we really love our girlfriend or we're being parents or whatever role we may be in. We can be like the number one, most amazing cheerleader. I mean, this best friend can do no wrong. Like, honey, you are the most beautiful. Like, hello. You know what I mean? We are so
Yes.
encouraging to others, those of us in our circle that we love and trust and care about. What about ourselves? So
Yes.
fundamentally, the first step is keep the concept, this umbrella concept of being a best friend to yourself.
Yes.
You have to matter. If you're going to matter to your best friend, or you're going to matter to someone else, you've got to matter first to you. So we keep
Absolutely.
that concept alive. And I think it starts to fuel a little bit of, okay, fine, I'll try these affirmations a little bit more, put my heart into it a little bit more. Right.
Yes.
And then on top of that, I think if you start to recognize that when we are having certain thoughts, there are certain chemicals that we're waking up in our body. So if we
Mhm.
are really being negative all the time, we're waking up negative chemicals inside of our body. Well,
Yeah.
if we can imagine what would negative chemicals feel like if they're flowing through the body, pretty bad.
Yeah.
So our goal is to try to wake up the more positive chemicals in our body. And how do we do that? By trying to unleash more positive thoughts. So there is a big why. There's a big fundamental, scientific, energetic, divine, however you like to think of it, reason for us to really tune in a more positive way. So my tip and my advice is be a best friend to yourself. Those thoughts that you are rotating in your head, guide them to being more friendly and loving to yourself. No need to judge yourself when you fall off of that bandwagon. It's okay. We're human. But I
Mhm.
want you to lead yourself to more positive, gentle, loving, nurturing thoughts about yourself. And you don't need to lie, right? Sometimes we think automatically, oh, I'm the most beautiful person in the whole wide world. Okay, no, that's not what you think. Then don't do that. But you can start to say, I'm a really good person.
I
I
love that.
love the way that I treat others. I love the way I dress. I love the way I compliment my friends. I love the
Mm.
way, and you just start to get into a little rampage of appreciation and affirmations and not being afraid to be nice to yourself because that's not a bad thing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I can totally appreciate you saying to kind of take baby steps in that direction because I know there was a point in my life where even just saying the words, I am powerful or I am brilliant or I am beautiful, it was physically difficult for me to say that out loud.
Yes.
Um like to the point of literally like crying or being
Yeah.
like anxious almost to say it. So I
Yeah.
can totally appreciate you telling females to start out with something that feels authentic to yourself in a positive direction versus just going straight for
Right.
the big stuff, because sometimes it is hard because our negative self-talk has been so bad, or the people around us in my circumstance were
Right.
so awful to us
Right.
that we don't it's so far-fetched,
Right.
it seems like a lie.
Exactly, exactly. And when we can start smaller, like you're saying, it just helps us to incorporate it more as truth. And then we form a habit of complimenting ourselves. So even if at first there's nothing physical, a lot of times people think self esteem is all about your looks. And, do you think you're beautiful? Do you think you're hot? Do you think you're sexy? Do you think that's not what it's all about? I'm sure that's an element, of course, but
Yeah.
there are so many things about regarding self-esteem. How do you feel about yourself academically? Do you regard yourself as smart or inferior? How do you think about yourself in terms of your friendships? Do you think you're awkward and weird? What's your social perspective of yourself? There's so many different categories in which to say my self-esteem is, that sometimes we can't just make this blanket statement or always attribute it to looks. So when you're doing an affirmation, feel free, or any positive thing, or even just gratitude and appreciation. It can just be things that are not necessarily related to how you physically look. It can be things about how you act, how you believe, excuse me, how you present yourself, how you treat others. It can be academic, it can be social. Find your strengths and get in the habit of acknowledging them, because there's a part of that brain that's like, okay, Simone's okay with complimenting herself. Okay, Sabrina likes compliments. Okay, Simone's okay. And if you're not doing it at all, then your brain's like, oh, Simone doesn't like that. Don't make it easy for her to do that at all. She doesn't like that. So now my brain's trying to like leap hurdles to try
Got
to find
it.
something positive to say.
Wow.
But
Yeah.
just get into a habit of starting slowly and feeling that I can say something positive about myself. I can. And it doesn't have to be looks, and it doesn't have to be the most challenging, and it's not supposed to be a lie.
Yeah.
It's meant to be something that allows me to be a best friend to myself, because I'm a
Yeah.
person too.
Yes. Yes. I love all of that.